It starts in the silence, not in the roar of crowds, not in the bright lights, not when everything makes sense, but in the quiet when no one is watching, when your soul whispers questions you've been too busy to answer. That is where the journey begins. That's where transformation brews. And in that silence, there's a question that echoes louder than any applause. What if you chose to become just 1% better every single day? Not a leap, not a miracle, just 1%. Quiet, small, unimpressive to the world, but irreversible in its effect. Because the truth is, greatness isn't a lightning strike. It's a slow burn, the kind that turns a flicker into a blaze, the kind that doesn't ask for permission, the kind that builds silently until it can no longer be ignored. You don't need to become everything all at once. You just need to become something more than you were yesterday. That's the seed that grows into character, into vision, into legacy. And that seed planted daily, not when it's easy, but especially when it's not. That's how you take control of your life. The lie is that you have to conquer the world in one swing. The truth is, you only need to win the day, win 1 hour, win one moment. Because 1% today is power compounded. It is momentum engineered. You stack that 1% layer by layer, page by page, rep by rep, and suddenly you've rebuilt yourself quietly, relentlessly, from the inside out. So let's talk about the mind. Your mind is the command center. It is the architect of everything you see, everything you experience, everything you create. Before a life changes, a mindset must transform. Most people walk through life with a mind like an untended garden. Seeds of doubt take root, weeds of fear flourish. And before they know it, they're living in a jungle of limitations they never chose. But you are not most people. You choose to cultivate. You wake up and declare, "This mind is my soil. I choose what grows here." That is where the 1% begins. In the conscious decision to pull the weeds, the comparison, the victimhood, the excuses, and plant something new, a thought of belief, a vision of purpose, a standard of discipline. Because every belief you carry is either building you or breaking you. So what do you believe about yourself? That you're not enough? That you're too late? That success is for someone else? Or that you right here, right now, are capable of rewriting your story one choice at a time? Your belief system is the thermostat of your destiny. If you want to rise higher, you must reset the internal settings. Every 1% of belief added today becomes 10% more action tomorrow. And clarity? Clarity is power. Most people are not lazy. They're simply unclear. They have ambition, but no direction. Energy, but no aim. You cannot hit a target. You cannot see. So you must define what you want, not vaguely, not someday, but with precision. What does your future look like, feel like, live like? Who are you becoming, and why? Write it, speak it, see it, every single day. Because when the vision is clear, the grind becomes meaningful. You stop questioning the price because you understand the reward. Clarity is what gives ordinary days extraordinary weight. It turns morning routines into sacred rituals. It turns small tasks into stepping stones. And when you know where you're going, discipline becomes a gift, not a burden. Discipline, the most misunderstood force on the planet. It's not restriction. It's liberation. Discipline is how you tell your future self, "I've got you." It's the bridge between intentions and results, between dreams and reality. Every 1% of discipline, one more rep, one less excuse, one choice, aligned with who you say you want to be, creates a new identity. That identity becomes your new normal. And when you act from that place daily, your habits become armor. Your consistency becomes confidence. Your actions become automatic, no longer fueled by hype, but by alignment. And from that alignment comes action. But not just action for the sake of motion. Intentional, purpose-driven, outcome-altering action. Every 1% of action is a brick in the foundation of your future. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you do. And what you do consistently speaks louder than anything else, even when you don't feel like it, especially then when your legs are heavy, when your spirit is tired, when no one is cheering. That's when it counts the most, because that's when champions are forged. Success doesn't happen when the conditions are perfect. It happens when you refuse to let the conditions stop you. And through that fire of discipline and action, you discover something deeper: purpose. Purpose is not found. Purpose is built. It is built in the quiet hours, in the small choices, in the repeated sacrifices. It's not always loud. It's not always glamorous, but it's always real. Purpose is what keeps you going when motivation dies. It's what gives pain a name and struggle a direction. And every 1% of purpose added to your day is fuel in your tank, the kind that doesn't run out, because it's not external. It's who you are. But purpose alone is not enough. You need gratitude, because without gratitude, even growth feels empty. Gratitude grounds you. It humbles you. It reminds you that the climb is a privilege, that even in the hard days, even in the setbacks, you are still becoming. That 1%, that's a gift. And when you recognize it as such, you start showing up differently. You stop waiting for things to be perfect. You start seeing the perfection in the process. You realize you don't have to have everything to be grateful. You just need awareness. Gratitude is the lens that transforms problems into lessons, delays into preparation, pressure into power. And with that lens, you adapt. Adaptability is survival. But more than that, it's mastery. The world will shift. Circumstances will change. But if your foundation is flexible, you don't break, you bend. You adjust. You evolve. You find new ways to grow your 1%. And that adaptability leads to resilience. Resilience is not about avoiding the fall. It's about rising faster every time you do. It's about making setbacks your classroom. It's about turning pain into perspective and failure into fuel. Every time you bounce back stronger, wiser, more aligned, you add another 1% to your armor. And that armor? It's not built from comfort. It's built from experience, from learning, from reflection, from the willingness to stay a student, even as you lead. Learning is your edge. The moment you think you've arrived, you stop becoming. But when you remain teachable, hungry to grow, humble enough to listen, you stay on the edge of possibility. 1% of learning daily compounds into mastery. And mastery becomes legacy. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't perfection. It's progression. Forward, always forward. Each day, a brick. Each choice, a thread. And over time, you've woven something unstoppable. Not flashy, not always noticed, but undeniable. You didn't climb the mountain in one day, but you climbed. You didn't become invincible overnight, but you became unshakable. And it all started with a decision to improve just 1% every single day. That is how lives change. That is how history is written. That is how you rise. And when you rise, everything around you starts to shift. Not because the world changed, but because you did. The lens through which you see life evolves. The energy you bring into a room becomes different. People feel it before they understand it. You walk with a quiet certainty, not because you've arrived, but because you're becoming, and that process cannot be stopped. Because that's the secret no one tells you. It's not about being the best in the world. It's about being better than you were yesterday. And when you do that enough times, consistently, relentlessly, you become the best for the world. You become a living testimony to the power of choice, of effort, of alignment. Because you didn't wait for permission. You didn't wait for the stars to line up. You didn't wait to feel ready. You started with what you had, right where you were. One breath, one choice, 1%. And that 1% taught you more than 1,000 hours of talk ever could. It taught you that transformation is not a lightning bolt. It's a sunrise, slow, steady, unstoppable. It taught you that you are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not your delays. You are your decision. Your choice to rise instead of retreat, to learn instead of linger, to build instead of break. And that choice, it echoes through your habits, through your work, through your relationships, through your energy. You start to realize every word you speak, every thought you entertain, every action you repeat is either an anchor or a sail. And the beauty? You are the captain. You can choose every single day to adjust your course, to cut what weighs you down, to set your eyes on something higher. Because life is not about what happens to you, it's about what you choose to do with it. And the power of 1% is that it compounds in the background. While others chase hype, you build roots. While others seek applause, you sharpen your craft. While others burn out, you light up because your flame is internal, not borrowed. And over time, that 1% becomes exponential. Not in noise, but in depth. Not in speed, but in sustainability. Not in surface, but in soul. Because when you do the inner work, when you build your life from principle, from discipline, from intention, you don't just rise, you last. You become the kind of person storms cannot shake, the kind of leader circumstances cannot control, because your power is no longer reactive, it's rooted. And that kind of power, that changes families, that transforms communities, that rewrites futures. It starts with a whisper, I will improve today. And it ends with a roar. Look what I've built. Look who I've become. Not through perfection, but through progression. Not through force, but through faith. Faith in the process. Faith in the effort. Faith in the compounding effect of consistent action. And with that faith comes a fierce kind of peace. Not because life is easy, but because you are equipped. You stop fearing the unknown because you trust your ability to adapt. You stop doubting your value because you see what you've endured, what you've built, what you've overcome day after day, without applause, without shortcuts. That self-respect becomes the new baseline. You start setting higher standards, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. You begin attracting differently, operating differently, expecting differently, because your identity has shifted. And identity is the compass of destiny. Who you believe you are determines what you tolerate, what you pursue, what you allow. So when you shift your identity by 1% each day from passive to powerful, from reactive to intentional, from hopeful to certain, you change the entire trajectory of your life. That's the real prize. Not the car, not the money, not the followers, but the quiet confidence of someone who knows they earned their strength, who knows that behind every calm decision, every steady breath, every bold move is a mountain of unseen effort. And that effort, it's never wasted. Because even on the days it doesn't feel like it's working, it is. Even on the days when progress is invisible, growth is happening. Even on the days you feel like you're falling behind, you're being prepared for something greater. That's the paradox of 1%. It's invisible until it's undeniable. It's slow until it's sudden. It's small until it's everything. So when it's hard, go anyway. When it's quiet, grow anyway. When no one sees, show up anyway. Because that's who you are now. You're not here to be average. You're not here to coast. You're here to lead, to rise, to build, to expand. And if all you do is get 1% better today in thought, in effort, in discipline, in courage, then you've already won. Because that 1% is not small. It is sacred. It is the line between regret and legacy. And today you crossed it. And once you've crossed it, you start to see the world differently. You notice that most people are still waiting for the right time, the right feeling, the right sign. As if transformation is something that arrives like a package in the mail, stamped, approved, delivered. But you know the truth now. Transformation doesn't arrive. It is forged through sweat, through choice, through patience, through the kind of work no one claps for, but everyone respects once they see it. You've discovered the secret most never will, that progress is not an event, it's a habit. And habits don't care how you feel, they obey your discipline. Every time you chose the hard path to rise early, to read instead of scroll, to push instead of pause, you weren't just becoming stronger, you were casting a vote. A vote for the kind of person who doesn't quit. A vote for the kind of future that doesn't fall apart under pressure. A vote for the kind of legacy that speaks long after you're gone. And each of those 1% choices, small, ordinary, forgettable to the outside world, became a part of the structure you now stand in. Solid, unshakable, built from within. This is what separates dreamers from doers. Hope from execution, potential from purpose. You stopped treating growth like an event and started treating it like oxygen. Daily, non-negotiable, essential. And now it's in your blood. It's who you are. You're no longer intimidated by giants. You've become the kind of person giants avoid. You've faced your own apathy, your own distraction, your own resistance. And you've said, not today, not anymore. Because mediocrity may have been your inheritance, but excellence, that's your decision. And every day, as you improve just 1%, you took the power back. From doubt, from delay, from distraction, from every lie you were told that you're too late, too flawed, too far behind. You proved the world wrong, not with noise, but with consistency. And now, you don't even need to argue for your worth, your life shows it. That's the beauty of quiet work. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast, it doesn't demand. It simply builds and builds and builds until one day, what was once invisible becomes undeniable. That's when people ask, how did you do it? And all you'll say is, I improved 1% every day, because they'll never see the early mornings, the silent battles, the lonely hours, the invisible choices. But you'll remember what it cost, and you'll know it was worth it. Because the real reward isn't what you get, it's who you become. You became someone who keeps promises to yourself, someone who doesn't shrink in the face of challenge, someone who doesn't just set goals, but lives them. And now, you move differently. You don't rush. You don't chase. You build. Because builders know the most powerful structures rise quietly, one brick at a time. That's how you build a life worth living. One choice at a time. One discipline at a time. 1% at a time. And if you keep going, day after day, in the dark, in the quiet, when no one is watching, you'll wake up one day and realize you didn't just improve your life. You transformed it. And you didn't do it for applause. You did it because you finally believed you were worth the effort. And when you believe you're worth the effort, you stop bargaining with your potential. You stop negotiating with your fears. You stop asking for permission to be great because you realize no one is coming to crown you. No one is coming to pull you from the pit. No one is coming to hand you your future. You are the author. You are the architect. You are the fire. And once that clicks, once you taste that level of self-respect, you can never go back. You can't unsee the power of personal responsibility. You can't unfeel the strength of daily discipline. You can't unknow the reality that your life is not a product of fate, but a product of focus. Every 1% you invest changes the trajectory just enough. And just enough, done enough times, becomes unstoppable. You no longer wait for massive breakthroughs. You find power in the small, the decision to show up, to clean the slate, to realign and press forward. You understand now, success is not a sprint, it's a rhythm. One beat, one breath, one brick. Daily, ruthlessly, relentlessly. Even when it's boring. Even when it's hard. Even when your results don't match your effort yet. Because you don't chase rewards anymore. You embody results. You carry the work in your posture, in your presence, in your precision. That's what 1% daily growth does. It turns character into currency. People begin to feel your standard before they hear your story. They sense the weight of someone who's done the reps mentally, physically, spiritually. And the greatest flex is not saying a word, just being it. Because people can argue with your words, but they can't argue with your life. Your life, the rituals, the recovery, the rising, becomes the loudest sermon you'll ever preach. And you realize this journey was never about achievement. It was about alignment. It was about proving to yourself that who you no longer performing, you're embodying. You've closed the gap between your values and your actions, between your vision and your habits, between who you were and who you're becoming. That's the real freedom. The kind that doesn't depend on status or stuff. The kind that doesn't come and go with circumstances. The kind that's rooted in integrity, the alignment between your thoughts, your words, your walk. And in that alignment, there is peace. Not the peace of passivity, but the peace of power. The kind that comes when your days are driven by design, not default. You don't stumble into excellence. You engineer it. Every day, every hour, every micro decision. You've realized that the magic isn't in massive change. It's in micro mastery. That doing something small, consistently, with intention, is infinitely more powerful than doing something big once with emotion. Because emotion fades, but structure remains. And now you are structured, rooted, focused, built on principle, not preference. You rise when it's inconvenient. You push when it's uncomfortable. You create when it's easier to consume. You keep going because you've tasted what it means to live in alignment. And you won't go back to the version of you that settles, that waits, that wonders what could have been. No, you're too awake now, too aware of the cost of comfort, too conscious of the price of inaction. You've seen what just one day of 1% improvement can do for your clarity, your confidence, your conviction. And you start to think, what happens when you string 100 days together? What happens when your year is stacked with compound momentum? What happens when you look back, not in regret, but in reverence? Because you built it with tired hands, with focused eyes, with a heart that wouldn't let up. That's when you realize this journey wasn't about chasing success. It was about becoming undeniable. Not through noise, not through tricks, not through validation, but through the quiet, disciplined, unshakable daily pursuit of one thing, to be just 1% better every single day, forever. And when you lock into that rhythm, the rhythm of becoming, not impressing, something inside of you changes. You stop chasing identity and you start embodying it. You don't wake up asking, what do I have to do? You wake up declaring, this is who I am. You've become the kind of person who does the work not just when it's easy, not just when it's seen, but when it's sacred. And in that sacred space of quiet effort, you uncover your true advantage, consistency. Consistency is the hidden superpower. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's lethal. Because talent is loud, excitement is loud, hype is loud, but consistency is silent and undefeated. It doesn't care about how you feel. It doesn't wait for motivation. It shows up every single time. It's the person who shows up on day one that gets attention. But it's the person who shows up on day 1,000 that builds the kingdom. Because kingdoms aren't built in a weekend. They're built brick by brick, over months, over years, through storms and sunrises, in faith and in silence. And your life, your real life, it is a kingdom in construction. Every 1% action you take, every disciplined choice, every refined habit, it is a brick. Not one day wasted, not one effort lost, not one early morning or late night that won't echo. Because you are not just building goals. You are building a foundation, one strong enough to hold your future, one resilient enough to withstand pressure, one real enough to carry the weight of impact. You see, there's a moment in the journey when the question shifts. It goes from, how can I improve, to what else can I hold? And that's when you step into leadership, not in title, but in weight. Because those who improve 1% every day eventually hold what others collapse under. Responsibility, vision, influence, standards. You carry them not with strain, but with strength. Because your life has been forged in the fire of small, consistent daily wins. You don't flinch when others fold. You don't panic when others pause. Because you didn't build on sand. You built on discipline. You built on conviction. You built on the kind of daily excellence that needs no audience to thrive. And now you carry the mark of someone who cannot be ignored. Because people may forget what you said. They may forget what you did. But they will never forget the way you moved with intention, with purpose, with quiet power. And they'll wonder how you did it. And all you'll say is, I improved 1% every day, and I never stopped. And the truth is, you won't stop. Because this path is no longer a challenge. It's your calling. It's not a phase. It's not a trend. It's not a temporary high from a motivational video. It's who you are now. It's who you chose to become. You no longer wait for motivation to strike. You wake up with a mission to refine, a mission to sharpen, a mission to leave this world better than you. Found it not just in words, but in example. You've become the kind of person who makes excellence look natural. Not because it's easy, but because it's ingrained. Because every day you chose growth over gossip, character over comfort, focus over distraction. You weren't just building success. You were building a legacy. One that doesn't need to be announced because it's felt. Your presence has weight now because it's been sculpted by hours of unseen effort, unseen struggle, unseen sacrifice. And that's what gives you strength because you know the story behind the smile, the pain behind the purpose, the hours behind the skill. And you honor that story every single day. You don't belittle the process. You respect it. You guard your habits like treasure. You protect your energy like gold. You surround yourself with people who stretch you, not shrink you. Because you've seen what happens when you stay committed. When you stop breaking promises to yourself. When you stop needing everything to be perfect before you begin. And now you begin daily, willingly, unapologetically. Because every action now flows from identity. You don't need hype to move. You don't need applause to grow. You don't need results to validate the process. You already know. The real results were never visible. They were internal. The way your mindset sharpened. The way your values deepened. The way your presence matured. You've become the kind of person who brings certainty into chaos. Vision into confusion. Faith into fear. Because 1% daily growth doesn't just change what you do, it transforms who you are. And that transformation, it's permanent. Because once you know the power of progress, you'll never trade it for comfort again. You'll never sell your calling for cheap validation. You'll never abandon the path because it got hard. Because you've been through the hard. You've been through the days when the scale didn't move, when the business didn't grow, when the inbox was empty, when no one clapped, no one noticed, no one cared, and you kept going because you weren't working for praise. You were working for purpose. And now your very existence is a message. This is what happens when you decide. This is what happens when you stop waiting. This is what happens when you improve yourself 1% every single day. So don't stop. Don't settle. Don't slow down. Because someone out there needs to see what it looks like when a human being fully commits to their evolution. Be that example. Be that proof. Be the storm that breaks generational patterns. Be the calm that leads others to clarity. Be the voice that says, you don't have to rush the mountain, just climb it. One step, one breath, 1% at a time. Because you already know when the rest of the world sprints and burns out, you'll still be climbing. Steady, focused, unstoppable. And as you climb, not with frenzy, but with fierce intention, you begin to understand something deeper. You were never chasing success. You were chasing alignment. Alignment with your purpose, with your principles, with your potential. Because when your actions match your values, when your vision matches your daily choices, when your life reflects your deepest beliefs, that's when you find peace. Not the peace that comes from easy living, but the peace that comes from right living. From knowing that you've stopped betraying yourself. That every day you are becoming someone your future self will be proud to meet. That every action is a deposit into your future. And with that realization, fear begins to lose its grip. Because when you trust the process, when you become the process, there is nothing left to fear. Not failure, not rejection, not the unknown, because you've seen the worst of it. The doubts, the delays, the lonely nights, when you questioned if it was worth it, and you kept going. Because this isn't about inspiration, it's about identity. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, that's someone who doesn't quit. That's someone who shows up. That's someone who honors the work. You're not in competition with anyone else. You never were. You're only racing yesterday. And every day you improve, even by the smallest measure you win. Because the 1% isn't just physical. It's emotional, spiritual, mental. It's the 1% more focus when you want to drift. The 1% more patience when you want to snap. The 1% more humility when pride knocks. The 1% more courage to step into rooms that scare you. And brick by brick, these choices compound until one day you look around and realize your life is no longer a reaction, it's a revelation. A revelation of discipline. A revelation of grace under pressure. A revelation of what happens when a person chooses evolution over excuses. People will ask you how you got here. They'll search for the secret, the shortcut, the secret sauce. But you'll know the truth. It was never about hacks. It was never about intensity. It was never about the big days. It was about the everydays. The ones where nothing remarkable happened except that you showed up anyway. And now the world sees the result of what you built in the dark. But you remember the roots, the silence, the struggle, the stretch. You remember who you were when you started. And you smile not because it was easy, but because it was earned. Every inch, every ounce, every moment. And now you carry something more valuable than results. You carry self-respect. And with that, there is no limit to what you can build next. Because self-respect is the foundation of all greatness. It's what allows you to walk away from distractions disguised as opportunities. It's what allows you to say no to comfort and yes to growth. It's what allows you to keep climbing, not for validation, but for vision. That vision, the one you once saw only in flashes and fragments, now begins to take form. Clearer, sharper, closer. Because you stayed with it. You honored it. You became the kind of person worthy of receiving it. And now everything changes. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you got stronger. Because when the voice inside you becomes louder than the noise around you, you become untouchable. When your standard is internal, when your rhythm is built on principle, when your hunger is fed by purpose, you no longer fear failure. You expect refinement. You invite resistance. Because every obstacle is now a mirror, revealing not your weakness, but your growth point. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what is this shaping in me? That's the power of 1% improvement. It doesn't just give you skills, it gives you sight. You see through delays, through criticism, through scarcity, through fear. Because the daily climb gave you clarity no comfort ever could. And that clarity becomes contagious. People feel it in how you speak, in how you move, in how you no longer apologize for your standards. You've become proof not of perfection, but of progression. The living example of what happens when a person decides that ordinary is no longer acceptable. That good enough is an insult to their potential. That playing small doesn't serve the world. And now your presence gives others permission to rise. Not because you told them to, but because you showed them how. That is legacy. And legacy isn't built in one grand moment. It's built in 1,000 unseen ones. It's built 1% at a time. And you are just getting started. Because now, everything you do is rooted in becoming, not proving. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to announce your process. You just live it with precision, with presence, with peace. You've learned the truth. Slow growth is strong growth. Because what's built fast breaks fast. But what's built daily, patiently, intentionally, relentlessly, becomes unbreakable. You've traded speed for substance. You've traded noise for depth. You've traded being seen for becoming real. And in that exchange, you found something rare: ownership. Ownership over your energy. Ownership over your choices. Ownership over your destiny. Because the 1% rule isn't just about habits, it's about ownership of your life. No more outsourcing your discipline. No more blaming your past. No more handing your future to chance. You've reclaimed your power, one decision at a time. And now you understand. Success doesn't come from intensity, it comes from identity. And your identity is now forged in truth. Truth that says your time is valuable. Your mind is sacred. Your energy is a weapon. And you no longer waste it on people, places, or habits that weaken your fire. You protect your peace with power. You guard your growth like treasure. Because you finally believe not just in the dream, but in yourself. And that belief, that's the multiplier. Because when you believe, truly believe that your life has meaning, your decisions begin to shift. You don't dabble, you commit. You don't chase, you attract. You don't wish, you work. And the work becomes your worship, not a burden, but a blessing. Because every hour you spend improving, every day you invest in mastery, every step you take toward alignment is a vote for the life you deserve. And one day you'll look back, not at the things you gained, but at the person you became. You'll see the trail of 1% footprints behind you. And you'll realize you climbed the mountain not to plant a flag, but to discover you were the mountain all along. So now, here you stand, not at the end, but at a threshold. Behind you a path paved in silent grit, in uncelebrated victories, in the sacred repetition of showing up. Ahead of you the rest of your life. And here, in this moment, something extraordinary becomes clear. This was never about becoming someone else. It was about remembering who you were meant to be before the world told you to shrink. Before fear crept in, before mediocrity became normal, before distractions numbed your fire. This journey, this 1%, every day, it's not self-help. It's self-honor. It's the loud, defiant decision to no longer betray the greatness that was placed inside you at birth. It's reclaiming your breath, your will, your destiny. You are no longer waiting for clarity. You are clarity. You are no longer hoping for strength. You are strength. You are no longer seeking permission. You are the permission. And with that, you rise. Not for applause, not for likes, but because you made a promise to your soul. I will not leave this world having played it safe. You will burn through every limitation. You will outlast every storm. You will outgrow every label. And you will walk boldly into your future, not because it's guaranteed, but because you're ready to build it brick by brick, breath by breath, one divine, disciplined 1% at a time. This is your time. Not next year. Not when it's easier. Not when it's perfect. Now, because now is all you need. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more time. You don't need more approval. You only need one thing: to decide. to decide that every step matters, that every choice counts, that every breath can either feed your excuses or fuel your destiny. And when you choose growth again and again and again, you don't just change your life. You rewrite your bloodline. You shift the story for everyone who comes after you. You become a lighthouse in a world full of noise, steady, clear, and unshakable. All because you dared to believe that 1% a day is enough. And now the world watches. But you don't move for them. You move for the person you've always known you could be. So rise, with fire in your spirit, with stillness in your soul, and with the quiet confidence of someone who has already won, because they chose to become undeniable, just 1% at a time. The next decade of your life will be defined by the choices you make right now. You might think that your future is shaped by some grand event, some lightning strike of inspiration or luck, but it's not. Your future, your success, your fulfillment, it's all built one decision at a time. And the decisions you make today will be the foundation upon which the next 10 years are built. The truth is, most people are drifting through life, letting the years pass by, hoping things will change. They hope for a better job, a better life, a better version of themselves. But they don't take the necessary steps to create that life. They wait for the world to change, for someone to hand them success on a silver platter. But success doesn't come that way. The life you want isn't going to find you by accident. You have to go out and create it. You have one shot at this. One chance to make the most of the next decade of your life. One chance to lay the groundwork for the person you want to become, the success you want to achieve, the impact you want to have. And it starts with you. It starts with your choices. It starts with the decision to stop waiting, stop hoping, and start doing. Right now, you stand at the crossroads of your life. The decisions you make today will create the reality you live tomorrow. You are the architect of your future. And it's time to get to work. The power of your decisions. There's a simple truth that most people fail to realize. You are where you are today because of the decisions you made yesterday. Your current reality is the product of the choices you've made, the choices that shaped your habits, your beliefs, your relationships, and your actions. But here's the good news. If your current reality is the product of your past decisions, then your future is the product of the decisions you make today. The choices you make now will determine the direction of your life. And no one else can make those decisions for you. The power is in your hands. If you want a different future, you must make different decisions. It's as simple as that. You must decide that today, right now, is the time to change. It's the moment you decide to take control of your life and stop letting circumstances dictate your future. The next 10 years are waiting for you to take charge. Ask yourself, what decisions do I need to make today to create the life I want in 10 years? What choices do I need to make to start building the foundation of my success? This is your time to choose. Mindset, the foundation of success. Success is not an accident. It's a product of your mindset. The way you think, the way you approach challenges, the way you see the world, that's what determines whether or not you will achieve your goals. Your mindset is the lens through which you view your potential. If you see obstacles as barriers, you will be stopped at every turn. But if you see them as opportunities for growth, you will push through and overcome them. If you see success as something reserved for others, you will always feel like an outsider. But if you see success as something within your reach, you will go after it with everything you've got. Your mindset shapes everything. It determines how you respond to failure, how you deal with setbacks, and how you handle success. A strong mindset is built on belief. Belief in yourself. Belief in your abilities. Belief that you are worthy of success and capable of achieving greatness. The next 10 years are going to be tough. There will be challenges. There will be times when things don't go your way. But your mindset will determine how you respond to those challenges. Will you give up? Or will you rise to the occasion, knowing that every setback is simply a setup for a greater comeback? Your mindset is the foundation of everything. If you want to change your life, you have to change the way you think. Start by believing that you can, because if you don't believe in your potential, no one else will. Clarity. Know what you want. Without clarity, you will wander aimlessly through life, reacting to circumstances rather than creating your own path. Clarity is the compass that guides you toward your destination. Without it, you'll be lost. So, what do you want from the next 10 years of your life? What are your goals? What kind of person do you want to become? What impact do you want to have on the world? You must get clear about your vision for the future. Clarity is the first step toward turning your dreams into reality. But clarity is not just about having a vague idea of what you want. It's about getting specific. The more specific you are about your goals, the easier it will be to create a plan to achieve them, and the more focused your efforts will be. Take a moment right now to ask yourself, what do I truly want to achieve in the next 10 years? Don't just think about it, write it down. Make it real. When you have clarity on your goals, your actions will align with your vision, and you will begin moving toward your success with purpose. Purpose, the fuel for your journey. Clarity gives you direction, but purpose gives you the fuel to keep moving forward when the road gets tough. Your purpose is what keeps you going when things get hard. It's the reason you wake up every morning and continue pushing forward, even when you don't feel like it. Purpose gives meaning to everything you do. When you are clear on your purpose, every decision becomes easier. You know why you're doing what you're doing, and that gives you the strength to keep going when you want to quit. Purpose is what drives the most successful people in the world. They have a vision for what they want to achieve, and that vision fuels their determination. They understand that success isn't just about making money or gaining status. It's about creating something meaningful, something that will outlast them. And that's why they work so hard. They work because they are driven by a purpose greater than themselves. What's your purpose? What drives you? What motivates you to keep moving forward even when things get tough? Find your purpose and let it guide you through the next 10 years. With purpose, you can overcome any obstacle, face any challenge, and create the life you desire. Discipline, the bridge between goals and results. You've got the clarity, you've got the purpose, but without discipline, none of it matters. Discipline is what turns your vision into reality. It's the bridge between your goals and your results. Discipline is what keeps you going when the excitement fades. It's the daily actions you take that move you closer to your dreams, even when you don't feel like it. It's about making the right decisions, day in and day out, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when no one is watching. Success doesn't come from occasional bursts of motivation. It comes from consistent, disciplined action. The more disciplined you are in your approach, the faster you will achieve your goals. The next 10 years are going to require discipline. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be glamorous, but it will be worth it. The key is to show up every day, to do the work, to keep pushing forward, and to stay committed to your vision. Action, the catalyst for change. There's no substitute for action. You can plan, you can strategize, you can talk about what you want to achieve, but none of it matters if you don't take action. Action is what creates change. It's what moves you closer to your goals, one step at a time. The most successful people in the world are action takers. They don't sit around waiting for the perfect moment. They go after their goals with everything they've got. They understand that success is not about waiting for opportunities to come to them. It's about creating opportunities by taking massive, consistent action. What actions are you taking today to create the life you want in 10 years? What steps are you taking right now to turn your vision into reality? Don't wait for the perfect moment. The time to act is now. Adaptability and resilience, overcoming obstacles. The path to success is rarely a straight line. There will be setbacks, detours, and challenges along the way. But it's not the obstacles that define your future, it's how you respond to them. Adaptability and resilience are what will carry you through. When things don't go as planned, you need to be able to pivot, to adjust your approach, and to keep moving forward. Resilience is about bouncing back from failure, learning from your mistakes, and using them as fuel for your journey. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about using failure as a stepping stone. The most successful people in the world have faced immense challenges. They've failed, they've struggled, they've been knocked down, but they've always gotten back up. They've always kept moving forward. In the next 10 years, you will face challenges, There will be moments of doubt, frustration, and pain. But resilience is what will determine whether you succeed or not. Keep going. Adapt, learn, and grow from every setback. Your future depends on your ability to bounce back. Gratitude, the key to abundance. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It shifts your focus from what you don't have to what you do have. It helps you see abundance instead of scarcity, opportunity instead of obstacles. When you are grateful, you attract more of what you want into your life. Gratitude opens the door to success, wealth, and happiness. It helps you stay grounded, focused, and motivated, even when things aren't going your way. Gratitude isn't just about being thankful for the big things in your life. It's about appreciating the small things, the lessons, the people who support you, and the opportunities that come your way. When you cultivate a mindset of gratitude, you open yourself up to more blessings, more success, and more growth. The next 10 years, a new beginning. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to stop hoping. It's time to start doing. The next 10 years are yours to shape. The decisions you make today will determine the life you live tomorrow. You have the power to create the future you desire. It's in your hands. The clock is ticking, but it's never too late to start. The future is created by the actions you take today, and the next 10 years are yours to build. Start now. Decide what you want. Take action. And never stop moving forward. Your future is built today. The truth is, we are often so focused on the future, on the what's next, that we forget the most powerful moment of all is the one we're living right now. The decisions you make today, this moment, will shape everything that follows. It is in your hands. The actions you take, the thoughts you entertain, and the habits you nurture today will become the reality you wake up to tomorrow. The road to success doesn't appear overnight. It's not a magic formula or an easy path. It's a long, consistent journey made up of the small, deliberate steps you take daily. Every moment you spend working toward your goals, every small win you celebrate, is a moment that compounds. It's like stacking blocks on top of each other, building something strong, something unshakable. But you cannot delay the work. You can't wait for the perfect time. The time is now. You have everything you need to take that first step. You have the power to start, and when you do, there's no limit to how far you can go. Vision is the blueprint of your future. One of the most vital elements in creating a successful future is vision. Vision is your blueprint, the map that guides you through the decisions and the chaos of daily life. Without it, you are just moving from one moment to the next, hoping something good will come your way. But with vision, you have a clear path, and every step you take is intentional, driven by a larger purpose. Your vision should be specific. It should excite you and challenge you. If your vision doesn't push you, then you're not aiming high enough. Don't just dream of success. Create a vision for your life that excites you every day. When you wake up, your vision should fuel you. It should spark the energy and passion to take action, even when the road ahead seems difficult. A vision gives you clarity. It brings meaning to everything you do. And when the going gets tough, as it surely will, your vision will be the anchor that keeps you grounded, reminding you of your why and motivating you to keep going. Your identity, the driving force of change. Who you are today is a reflection of your past decisions. But who you become tomorrow will be a result of the decisions you make now. The power to change begins with one simple yet profound realization. Your identity is the greatest tool you have for transformation. Your identity is not defined by your past mistakes, your failures, or even your successes. It is defined by your ability to shape yourself into the person who can handle the future you desire. If you want success, wealth, or freedom in your future, you have to begin by changing the way you view yourself. Start by seeing yourself as the person who is worthy of everything you desire. What kind of person are you going to be? Are you going to be the person who makes excuses, who lets life happen to them? Or are you going to be the one who steps up and takes full responsibility for their life? The moment you choose to embody the identity of a disciplined, focused, and successful individual, you start making the decisions and taking the actions that align with that identity. The shift from wanting to be successful, to becoming a successful person, is the game changer. Discipline, the cornerstone of your success. Discipline is the cornerstone of success, and it is your greatest ally. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. It is your commitment to showing up even when things are hard, even when the distractions seem endless, and even when the motivation fades. Discipline is the difference between dreams and results. It's what turns your ambitions into actions. But discipline is not a one-time event. It's not something you turn on when you feel inspired. Discipline is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. But let me make this clear. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about aligning your actions with your highest values and goals. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done, not because you feel like it, but because you know it's what will lead you to where you want to be. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about doing what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that the more you practice it, the more you become the person who doesn't need motivation, because your habits and systems run the show. Action. The path to results. Everything begins with action. You can have the greatest vision, the most powerful mindset, and the strongest discipline. But if you don't act, it means nothing. Action is the vehicle that takes you from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. It's easy to talk about what you're going to do. It's easy to make plans, to create goals, to dream big. But what matters most is what you do when the rubber hits the road. The truth is, success isn't about planning and dreaming. It's about executing. Every day you have the opportunity to take action toward your goals. Every day is a chance to get closer to the person you want to become. The people who succeed are not the ones who wait for the perfect time. They are the ones who act now. They move, they take risks, they learn from their mistakes, and they keep pushing forward. Every small action you take brings you closer to your desired future. The more you act, the more momentum you build, and the more unstoppable you become. So, ask yourself, what actions can I take today to bring my vision to life? What steps can I take to start building my future right now? Don't wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. The time to act is now. Resilience, the key to overcoming challenges. No journey to success is without its obstacles. The road to the future you desire will be full of challenges, failures, and moments when you want to give up. But here's the key. Success is not determined by how many times you fall, but by how many times you get back up. Resilience is your ability to bounce back from adversity. It's the mental toughness to keep going when everything seems stacked against you. Resilience is what keeps you moving forward when the world tells you to quit. It's the courage to face failure, learn from it, and then continue pushing toward your goals. The people who achieve the most are not the ones who avoid failure, but the ones who are unafraid of it. They embrace setbacks as part of the process, knowing that each failure is a lesson that brings them closer to success. So, when you face challenges, don't be discouraged. Be grateful, because each challenge is an opportunity to build your resilience, to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. If you stay resilient and keep moving forward, you will be unstoppable. Gratitude, the foundation of abundance. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces you can bring into your life. It shifts your focus from what you don't have to what you do have. Gratitude allows you to see abundance where others see scarcity. It turns your focus to the opportunities you have right in front of you, rather than what you lack. Gratitude changes the way you see the world. It makes you realize that no matter how tough things get, there is always something to be thankful for. It's easy to get caught up in what's not working, in what's missing. But gratitude forces you to take a step back and recognize that everything you need is already here. When you live with gratitude, you invite more good things into your life. You attract abundance because you are already focused on what's going well, not on what's going wrong. Gratitude shifts your mindset and helps you stay positive, even in difficult times. And in the process, it keeps you aligned with your vision for the next 10 years. When you are grateful for the present, you set yourself up for a future of abundance. Your future starts now. The next 10 years are yours to shape. They are a blank canvas, waiting for you to make your mark. But you must act now. You must take responsibility for your future. You must commit to the choices, the discipline, and the actions that will make your vision a reality. The time to start is now. There will never be a perfect moment. The only moment you can control is the one you are in right now. Make the most of it. Choose to build the life you want, one decision at a time. Your next 10 years will be the result of what you choose today. Make those choices count. Take action. Stay disciplined. Be resilient. And above all, live with purpose. This is your moment. This is your time to fix your next 10 years. Don't let it slip away. Make it happen. The power of consistency. Consistency is the true measure of your commitment. It's not about how hard you work for one day or how much effort you put in when things are going well. Success is built on showing up day after day, doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's about sticking to your plan, following through, and maintaining the habits that move you forward, regardless of the circumstances. It's easy to be motivated on a Monday, energized by the excitement of a new week or a fresh goal. But what about on Tuesday or Wednesday or when things go wrong? Consistency is the true test. It's not the initial burst of energy that gets you ahead. It's the ability to keep moving, to keep working toward your goals when the initial excitement has worn off and the distractions become louder. Consistency doesn't need to be dramatic. You don't need to make big, grand gestures every day. Small daily actions compound over time, leading to massive results. It's like planting a seed and watering it. Every day you don't expect the tree to grow overnight, but you trust the process. You trust that each small effort is moving you closer to the results you desire. Focus, the secret weapon. Focus is the laser beam that cuts through the noise of everyday life. Without focus, you become like a ship drifting without a rudder, directionless, easily distracted, and vulnerable to the winds of circumstance. But when you have focus, you move with purpose, and every decision you make is in alignment with your goals. Focus is about prioritizing what matters. It's about cutting out the distractions that pull you away from your mission. Whether it's your phone, social media, or negative influences, anything that steals your time and attention is a distraction, and it needs to be removed or minimized. Focus means saying no to the things that are irrelevant, the things that do not contribute to your vision for the next 10 years. When you focus, you begin to see clearly. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You see solutions where others see problems. And most importantly, you see the path forward, even when it feels uncertain. Focus gives you the clarity and the power to stay on course, no matter what. Adaptability. Embrace the change. The world is changing constantly, and if you're not adaptable, you'll get left behind. The ability to pivot when necessary, to embrace new technologies, new ideas, and new ways of doing things is essential to staying ahead of the curve. You cannot succeed in the next 10 years by holding on to old habits, old ways of thinking, or old methods that have outlived their usefulness. You have to be willing to change, to grow, and to evolve. Adaptability is about being open to learning new things, about trying new strategies, and about changing your approach when something isn't working. The most successful people are those who know that change is inevitable, and they embrace it. They see change as an opportunity for growth, not a threat. They know that if they adapt quickly enough, they can turn every challenge into an opportunity to become better, stronger, and more prepared for the future. Resilience, the art of bouncing back. No journey to success is without its setbacks. You will face failure, rejection, and challenges along the way. But resilience is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who quit when things get tough. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity. It's about maintaining a positive attitude in the face of challenges and staying focused on your goals, even when things don't go as planned. It's about learning from failure instead of being defeated by it. Every successful person has experienced moments of doubt, frustration, and failure. But what makes them different is their ability to rise again, stronger than before. When you build resilience, you begin to see setbacks as stepping stones. You don't let one failure define you. Instead, you use it as a learning experience, a chance to grow and improve. Resilience is what allows you to keep going when others would give up. It's what helps you keep going when the road gets rough. The power of self-belief. Belief in yourself is the foundation upon which everything else is built. If you don't believe in your ability to succeed, no amount of action, consistency, or discipline will get you where you want to go. Self-belief is the driving force that propels you forward, even when the odds seem stacked against you. Belief isn't something that magically happens, it's something you cultivate. It's a choice to trust in your abilities, your potential, and your vision for the future. It's about knowing that you have what it takes to face challenges, to learn from failure, and to keep moving forward. The most successful people are not necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who believe in themselves, even when others doubt them. They are the ones who keep going, no matter how many times they fall, because they believe that their efforts will eventually pay off. So, if you want to create the life you envision, start by believing in yourself. Believe that you can achieve your goals. Believe that you are worthy of success. And believe that your hard work will pay off. Learning, the key to growth. The world doesn't stop moving, and neither should you. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing. If you want to create the life you desire, you must make learning a lifelong commitment. The most successful people are those who are constantly expanding their knowledge, skills, and abilities. They understand that the more they learn, the more equipped they are to face the challenges ahead. Learning isn't just about formal education or reading books. It's about being open to new experiences, listening to others, and seeking out opportunities to grow. The more you expose yourself to new ideas and new ways of thinking, the more adaptable, resilient, and capable you become. Growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It happens when you push yourself beyond your limits, when you challenge your assumptions, and when you seek out knowledge that forces you to evolve. Be a student of life. Never stop learning. Time, the most valuable asset. Your time is the one thing you can never get back. Every second that passes is a second you'll never reclaim. That's why it's so important to be intentional with how you spend your time. Time is your most valuable asset, and how you choose to invest it will determine the future you create. The next 10 years will be filled with countless opportunities. But with those opportunities comes the responsibility to use your time wisely. You can't afford to waste time on things that don't align with your vision. You can't afford to be distracted by things that don't serve your growth. It's time to start living intentionally. Spend your time on the things that matter. Invest in your growth. Spend time on your relationships. Invest in your health, your career, and your passions. Every moment you waste is a moment you can never get back. So, make it count. The future starts with you. The most important thing to remember as you move forward into the next 10 years is that your future is in your hands. You have the power to create the life you want, to build the wealth you desire, and to live with purpose. But it all starts today. It starts with the decisions you make, the habits you create, and the actions you take. You have everything you need to succeed. The time to start is now. If you want to fix the next 10 years, you need to start by fixing today. Make the decision to take control of your future. Make the decision to build the life you want. And then, take action. Your future is not something that happens to you. It's something you create one decision at a time. The next 10 years are waiting for you. They're waiting for you to take control, to rise, to take action, and to create the life you've always dreamed of. Your future is created by what you do today. So, what are you going to do with today? What will your decisions, your mindset, and your actions be? The future is not something that comes to you, it's something you create. And the first step to creating your future starts now. You have everything you need to begin. The road is yours to travel. The next 10 years will be defined by what you choose to do with today. The future is waiting for you. Are you ready? Because it starts now. Momentum, the unstoppable force. Once you start taking consistent action, you'll begin to feel something powerful building within you. Momentum. Momentum is the force that propels you forward, making everything you do easier. It's the invisible force that makes success inevitable once you've created a habit of progress. Momentum is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who fall short. When momentum is on your side, obstacles become challenges to overcome, not insurmountable roadblocks. You begin to operate at a level where things just start to flow. The pieces begin to fall into place, and it feels almost effortless to continue moving forward. But momentum doesn't come from a single grand action. It comes from doing the small things every single day and doing them with purpose and discipline. It starts with one action, one choice, one step in the right direction. And once you build that momentum, there's no turning back. You become unstoppable. Sacrifice. The path to greatness. The road to greatness requires sacrifice. The reality is that if you want something extraordinary in life, you have to be willing to give up the ordinary. You can't expect to reach the highest levels of success if you are willing to settle for mediocrity. Every successful person has sacrificed something along the way. They've sacrificed time, comfort, security, and sometimes even relationships. But those sacrifices were made with the understanding that what they were working toward was worth it. When you decide to fix the next 10 years of your life, you must also decide what you're willing to give up. You will need to make tough choices, say no to distractions, put in the extra hours, forego the instant pleasures for long-term gain. The sacrifices you make today will pave the way for your future success. Sacrifice is never easy, but it's always necessary. The price of greatness is paid in advance, and the rewards will be far greater than anything you can imagine. The sacrifices you make now will lead you to the life you want in the future. Persistence. Keep going when everyone else stops. You're going to face challenges. Life will throw curveballs at you. The road will get tough. But what sets the successful apart is their ability to keep going when others quit. Persistence is a muscle that grows stronger the more you use it. It's the willingness to press forward even when it feels like you've reached your limit. It's pushing through discomfort, adversity, and doubt, knowing that on the other side of that struggle is growth, success, and achievement. Persistence doesn't mean you never fail. It means you fail, you learn, and you get back up. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simply that the successful ones keep going. They refuse to quit, even when it seems easier to walk away. Every time you push past the point where others would give up, you grow stronger. You are forging your character, your resilience, and your success. So, when things get hard, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, remember this: the ability to persist is what will ultimately determine your success. Keep going. Your environment, guard it like your life, depends on it. Your environment has a profound impact on your success. The people you surround yourself with, the places you spend your time, and the energy you invite into your life will shape your future. You must be intentional about the environment you create and protect. If you want to grow, you need to surround yourself with people who inspire, challenge, and support you. You cannot afford to be around negativity, excuses, or people who are content with mediocrity. They will drain your energy, dim your potential, and hold you back from becoming who you are meant to be. Guard your environment fiercely, protect it from negativity, from distractions, and from anything that doesn't align with your vision for the next 10 years. Choose your influences wisely, because the energy of those around you will directly affect your own. Surround yourself with people who elevate you, who challenge you to be better, and who help you stay focused on your goals. Your environment must be one that fosters growth, not stagnation. Create a space mentally, physically, and emotionally that allows you to thrive. The discipline of saying no. As you work on fixing your next 10 years, you'll be faced with many opportunities, requests, and distractions. One of the most important skills you can develop is the ability to say no. Saying no isn't about being rude or selfish. It's about protecting your time, energy, and focus. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values and your goals. Saying no to distractions means saying yes to the things that matter most. Every successful person has learned how to say no. They've learned that saying no is often the most powerful tool for creating space for what truly matters. Saying no to unnecessary commitments, to things that waste your time, to people who drain your energy, That's how you make room for the things that will move you toward your dreams. The ability to say no is a reflection of your priorities. If you say yes to everything, you will end up spread too thin, losing focus, and achieving little. But when you say no to the wrong things, you create the space to focus on the right things. And that's when progress happens. You are the architect of your future. The next 10 years are not up to chance. They are up to you. You have the power to design your future. You are the architect of your life. And it's time to start building the future you want. Think about where you want to be in 10 years. What do you want your life to look like? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Your future starts today, and it's in your hands to create the life you desire. But building your future isn't just about having a vision. It's about taking action. It's about doing the work day after day and making the tough decisions that move you closer to your dreams. The blueprint is there now. You need to build. Embrace the process, not just the outcome. The journey is just as important as the destination. Too often, we focus solely on the end result, on the success, the wealth, the recognition. But the truth is, success isn't a moment. It's a process. It's about who you become along the way, not just what you achieve. You will learn the most through the process. The struggles, the challenges, the lessons, they will shape you into the person who is capable of handling the success you want. Success is not just about reaching the goal. It's about developing the character, resilience, and discipline to sustain it once you've arrived. So, embrace the process. Enjoy the grind, the small wins, and the steady progress. Understand that the journey is where you build your strength, where you forge your habits, and where you become who you need to be to handle the life you want. The power of self-motivation. Motivation is important, but it is fleeting. It comes in bursts and fades away. But self-motivation, that fire within you that keeps you going even when the motivation is gone, is what will carry you to the finish line. Self-motivation comes from your vision, your purpose, and your belief in yourself. It's the inner drive that refuses to let you quit even when things get hard. When the initial excitement wears off, self-motivation is what will keep you on track. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning, what pushes you to do the work when no one's watching, and what keeps you moving forward step by step. You must be the source of your own motivation. No one else can do it for you. It's your responsibility to create the energy and drive that propel you forward, no matter the obstacles. Legacy. What will you leave behind? In 10 years, when you look back, what will you have left behind? What will be your legacy? Success is not just about what you achieve for yourself. It's about what you leave for others. It's about the impact you have on the world, on your community, and on the people you influence. Your legacy is built with every decision you make. It's shaped by the actions you take and the person you become. In 10 years, you will either look back with pride, knowing you created something meaningful, or with regret, wishing you had taken action sooner. Your legacy begins now. So, ask yourself, what do you want to be remembered for? What impact do you want to have? And how will you use the next 10 years to create that legacy? The time is now. The time to act is now. The next 10 years will be the result of the decisions you make today. The choices you make now, the decisions you take, the habits you build, the actions you execute will create the future you live. The clock is ticking. The future doesn't wait for anyone. But the good news is that it's not too late. You can start today. You can begin building the life you've always wanted. And in 10 years, you'll look back and be grateful for the choices you made today. This is your time. The next 10 years are yours to shape. And the first step starts now. What are you waiting for? This is your moment. Make it count. The final decision. Your moment of truth. You have everything you need to succeed, but it all comes down to one question. Will you take control? Will you make today the day that you stop waiting and start creating? The power to shape your next 10 years is in your hands. No one else can do it for you. No one else can make the decision for you. This is your moment, your chance to define your future. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect circumstances. All you need is the decision to act. Everything you've learned, everything you've experienced, and everything you're capable of is building toward this moment. This is your time to step forward, to rise to the challenge, and to commit to the next 10 years being the best of your life. You are ready. You have everything it takes. So, let's stop wondering, stop hoping, and start doing. This is not about some distant future that's out of your reach. It's about today, right now. The next 10 years are created with the choices you make today, and those choices begin with your actions. So, what are you waiting for? The world is waiting for you to show up. Your future is waiting for you to take action. Step into it right now. Your 10-year journey begins today. It's time to take control, to make the decisions that will shape your destiny, and to create the life you deserve. This is your time. Now, go make it happen.